Maybe you saw this headline make the rounds over the last couple of days. Assassin's Creed Valhalla won't be the longest or biggest game in the series. But I would actually argue that that is totally not the case, especially regarding the longest part. I think this game will have way more hours of content than Odyssey, even if the world is not bigger, although there are some mixed messages about that out there too. So let's go over all of this in this video and talk about some new gameplay details of course as well. A like as always would be super appreciated, and let's go. So as you maybe already heard, I'm doing a second May giveaway for a 2020 game of your choice on your platform of choice. So enter via the link in the pinned comment. You have to be a subscriber as well before you enter. And good luck, I will announce the winner of my first May giveaway very soon. So this news article all started with Malik, the head of communications and localization for Ubisoft Middle East. He was responding to an article about the size of Valhalla, saying the following: "For science, Valhalla will neither be the longest nor the biggest game in the series." Listen to this point of criticism as well and work on it. It is a rough translation from Google, and I also do it via the regular Google translation website because this tweet was namely removed. Like if we namely click on the link that VG247 and other sites are sourcing, we will see that this tweet is unavailable. And that was likely because 1, he was not supposed to say this, or 2, this was not correct, and I actually think it's a little bit of both. And I saw some people like happy about this news because they were put off by the size of Assassin's Creed Origins, but Odyssey in particular. But I also think that is mostly because that game forced you to engage in all the side content, otherwise you could not continue with the main story. And as we discussed in a previous video, this should not be the case in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So people want to focus on narrative, there's no issue there. People want to focus on their settlement, again, no issue there. It's really up to the players to decide how they want to consume the content. And this was confirmed by Ashraf Ismail, basically meaning that people who are put off by the size can just focus on the story. While people like me, and I think you watching as well, want to exist in this world and want to play for months and months after launch. And I'm sure that's possible, with I think even more to do than in Odyssey. And what's also interesting is that in a French interview on the channel of Julien that I will link to in the description, the producer on Valhalla actually said that the map is slightly larger than Odyssey. Again, it's in French, but YouTuber Jonathan, you will also find a link to his channel in the description, confirmed that this is indeed what the producer of Valhalla was saying. And we have to remember that Odyssey has one big map, while Valhalla seems to have this huge map in England with the 4 kingdoms and 3 major cities at least: London, Winchester and Jorvik, now called York, and a ton of towns, camps and other things of course as well. And we used this real world map before as a sort of reference because this is what England looked like at the time of this game, and likely a ton of it will be explorable. But apart from that, we also have Norway, where we start the game, and we saw some awesome glimpses of this starting area in the recent teaser trailer that hinted at a pretty big map from the looks of it. And this village that we see right here could be Kaupang or Kaupang, maybe it's pronounced like that. And that was the first and only town in Norway at the time, and it's actually the translation for marketplace, and thanks to Florent for reaching out to me about this with this awesome knowledge. The game is set in 873, and around that time this should have been the only place that could have looked like this. We also have Skiringsal that is nearby in the state, and we might be able to visit that too when we explore Norway in the early part of the game. But yes, we can return to this at any time as was already confirmed, and then likely see the clip of our ship like going back and forth as we see in the teaser trailer already. And many people, including Jack, reached out to me about this and how we in this short piece of footage see the white cliffs of Dover. And that will likely also be something we can explore because, again, we see it here, but it's also relatively close to London, and again, London will be a city we can go to. And Stonehenge is, by the way, also relatively close, and we saw that also in the recent trailer, so we will be able to go there. And this might be actually an important Isu temple. And if you played Origins, then you likely remember this huge map, right? That was shown in the Isu vault under the temple of Amun in Siwa. And Avistus, an admin over at Access the Animus, put together this impressive map with all the dots. And you guessed it, Stonehenge is one of the locations that is highlighted in Origins. So for sure that there might be some vault under this location, or it will be like Izu related. That at least seems pretty obvious. We also see a dot here in Scotland, and that could be for Inverness or maybe Loch Ness, but I don't think that that will be in the map of the main game because it's above Northumbria. And we know that Northumbria will be part of the world as one of the 4 kingdoms, so maybe this like Scotland part will be a potential DLC area. There's also an Isu temple in Lofoten in Norway that was also highlighted on the map in Assassin's Creed 2. And as we discussed before, Darby and a Ubisoft Montreal team visited Lofoten while doing research for the setting of this game. Very interesting, and of course, as always, your theories are more than welcome in the comments down below, but it seems like these locations could play a key role in some part of the story. And I will, by the way, link to that very impressive article by Access the Animus in the description that goes more in depth on all these locations. So yes, Stonehenge will be more than just a cool place to visit. I think it will be story related for sure as well. And we see Wales here noted too. And we had some discussion about the flag we saw in the teaser, and I thought that this soldier was like showing off the flag of Wessex, but many actually reached out saying it is the flag of Wales, and I can see it really both ways, but I still wanted to address it. And apart from England and Norway, we should also expect a few surprise areas in the game as well, as the producer Julian also hinted at. Ramsey reached out via input@joraptor.com, the email address you can use as well, and said that this boss logic image might hint at Iceland as a possible region that we can go to too. Because during the time of the game, Norwegian people actually began to settle in Iceland. So might be that we meet them there. He also points out that the birds that we see in the image here are called pavins, and those were also spotted in Iceland a lot. But they should also live on the British Islands, and I think that that is likely what we're seeing here. But yeah, overall the point is that the map of this game will be big, and sure, it will have a lot of water like we saw in Odyssey, only this time the water will be more inland as well, because we can use our longship on rivers too. And what I see, like in multiple interviews that the developers have done up to this point, is that they really want to make the world feel more alive. When talking about next gen, Ashraf said that the worlds we are building now are unlike anything we've built in the past in terms of their detail. So the grammar here is kind of weird, but it goes like this: the amount of stuff that we can put, so the more we can push the incredible potential of these worlds of Norway and the 9th century Dark Ages of England. And we already saw teases of this beautiful world we can explore and how exploration should be more important. But what I really hope this means is that every location has more of an identity and a reason that it's there in the world. Odyssey and Origins had a lot of the locations that felt like filler, and that especially became apparent when doing the Old Habits trophy in Origins, where you have to complete every location in the game. They luckily kind of stepped away from that with Odyssey, but this really highlighted how uninspired these camps were, with the same enemies and no interesting rewards. So I really hope they tackle this in Valhalla, and that really, like, almost every location or building is carefully put in the map and has a reason to be there. They are at least trying that from the sounds of it. And also, let's not forget that 15 studios from all over the world are working on this game, and that is insane. Like, I think the most ever for a Ubisoft game, or maybe a game in general. So it's going to be huge no matter what you read. There should be 400 points to spend in the new skill system. We have a huge settlement to upgrade this time, and I don't think you will be done after you finish the main story. There are raids that are likely repeatable somehow, and there are also rumors that we can replay these big assault battles that are normally tied to the story. I really think that in this game there will be more activities than in Odyssey. And another trend we also saw with Origins to Odyssey, and what we will likely see continue with this game, is that the post-launch content will be even bigger than before. We know there's a season pass already that gives us access to new lands and gear, but I'm sure there will be a ton of free content too, like we saw with the previous games. And the Odyssey sales outpaced Origins by 50% in the final 9 months of 2019 compared to Origins the year before. And that is because Odyssey still received big updates and content, while Origins was basically over after March 2018. So they saw the success there, and I totally think they will push it even further with Valhalla. And also like small online elements like the create your own Viking that you can then also share with other people will of course help with the life cycle too. I got a lot of questions about this, so wanted to address it, and we'll be collecting more info about the game, and there are still some other topics like the story and modern day for example that I haven't really talked about yet and we'll go more in depth on in future videos. So there will still be a ton of Valhalla content coming your way. Subscribe to miss nothing. A like on the video would be super appreciated. And don't check out my most recent Valhalla video if you haven't already.